Hello and welcome to the San Diego Unified Office Skills Training video series, Tips and Tricks. In today's video, we're going to be covering the Excel features of trace precedents and trace dependents. Thank you for joining us today. So we're going to go ahead and open up our Excel workbook that we have. And here we have our pretend students in our pretend school. And we've got a couple of formulas here on this particular worksheet. So here we have the student ID numbers with the last names, first names, and birth date, and some other general information on this worksheet. But over here at our pretend school, Sunshine Coast Elementary School, we have a total number of students of 472. And so if we click on that number, we see that there's a formula behind it. We're basically using the count function. It's saying to basically add up the total number of student IDs from cell A2, starting right there, all the way down the total range to A700. Well, there's only 472 students at this school. Why do we have 700? When you are setting up a formula like this, at this particular school, you may be having new students showing up and arriving and enrolling in your particular school. You want to make sure your formulas are set up large enough with the data range large enough that it will accommodate any new students. So that's why it's from A2 all the way down to 700. That's this formula here. And then over here we have students divided by 19 classrooms. There happens to be 19 classrooms at this elementary school. And so by clicking on this number here, we see that it's basically the contents of L6, which is 472, divided by 19 classrooms, averages out to 24.8 students per classroom. And then down here we have a similar formula where it says that we only have 18 teachers, so it's the number of students in L6, 472, divided by the 18 teachers. That means on average there'll be 26.2 students in every classroom because there's 18 teachers. All right, so there's something interesting that we can do. On the Formulas tab ribbon, we see all these different groups of features, commands, and buttons. And in the formula auditing group, we have some opportunities to kind of understand a little bit better how formulas are working by using these features here, trace precedents and trace dependents. And you hover over it, it gives you a little detail, a little screen tip explaining what's going to happen. Well, we're just going to go ahead and click on it. And since we already had cell L6 selected, we now see that there's a blue box that goes down on the entire range associated with this particular formula. In this case, it goes from A2 all the way down to A700. So it goes all the way past all the students that we have. Then we see a dot with this line going over this way and an arrow pointing to this number. So we're tracing the precedents. Where are we getting the data for this particular formula? Where is it coming from? We have a visual representation of the data range of where it's coming from to this point. So can that be helpful? Perhaps. As we are new to Microsoft Excel and working with spreadsheets and working with formulas in particular, and we're trying to understand better in this case, the data range, what that is, I could scroll down all the way to A700 and see that's where the blue box is going to end. You'll just have to trust me that it's there. But that's just a visual representation, a graphical representation of where that formula's data is coming from. And then if we click on trace dependence, we see something similar, but a little bit different. So now we see the origins of these arrows are starting here in L6 where we have the number of students, and it's going down to these cells here and providing information. And so basically it's saying that this formula has dependence, or stated differently, these formulas here are getting information. They're dependent on the information that's here in L6. And sure enough, if I am to click down here in M10 and I look at the formula, it says L6, and so I have to use the contents of L6 to be able to make this formula work. And so the whole point of this is trace precedents, showing where data is coming from, the range of data is coming from for this particular formula, or trace dependence, where data may be going to. And so we just have a visual representation of that. So that's the basics of trace precedence and dependence, other than the fact that we need to perhaps remove the arrows, and that couldn't be simpler. You just click right here. It makes that go away. So thank you so much for coming to learn with us today. We hope that these tips and tricks are helping you better understand how to use, in this case, Microsoft Excel. We appreciate you being here today. Don't forget to share with your colleagues, your coworkers about these trainings that are available, and remind them and yourself that you can go to the IT department and find the IT training calendar. And not only will you find all of the office skills training, different trainings that are available in both Microsoft Office, Word, and Excel, as well as Google Office apps such as Forms, Slides, Sheets, and Docs, as well as Drive, but you'll also find trainings for PeopleSoft and PowerSchool as well. So spread the word. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you have a great day.